Now, moving on to this, we were talking about this earlier, with history repeating itself. Right now, the past couple of years, and I don't know if we can really talk about this. We might get banned for just this topic alone. I can't lie. You've seen what happened with the corona situation and money. And right now, the US dollar, what's happening there?
So over the last couple of years, the U.S. dollar has gone on a printing spree, whereby half of the dollars that are currently in circulation were printed over the last 72 months.
That's a half the dollars that have ever existed.
Yeah, and the reason that this is an issue is because the devaluation of the currency is the next step in order to make sure that the United States crumbles. The reason the United States today has such a force when it comes to their opinion and why their opinion is regarded so highly, it's not because their opinion is right or because their opinion is the best. Is because if you don't listen to what they say, what happens? They sanction your money. They sanction your ability to do commerce. They fuck you up financially. So all these countries that are now part of BRICS, that are now moving away from their dependence of the dollar, are doing it for one single reason. They do not want the weaponization of finance, right? So you have India, you have China, you have Russia, you have South Africa, now you have Saudi Arabia. They're just putting the middle finger up to America and being like, all right, you don't let us do what we want to do, fuck it, we'll compete. So now what you're seeing with the US dollar is a lot of internal wars happening, a lot of these policies that are taking place. You can imagine, you can best believe that it's a lot of foreign powers involved in the decision making to destroy America from within. And like every other nation, like any other empire, they all have seasons, right? But if you look at the Roman Empire, brother, the season in which the Empire of Rome began to fall was the season when they began to print more coins with metal than with gold. Because back in the day, what they would do is they would have their gold coins and their silver coins, and that's what they were used for measurements. Yeah. But what would happen if there wasn't enough gold coming in circulation or not enough silver? They would dilute it with metal or iron ore. Oh. So they were diluting and causing what? Inflation.
And that's what's happening with the money. They're printing more and more.
Exactly. So they did the exact same thing. So as the resources became scarce, they introduced artificial inflation to what? Bring in more liquidity, but the liquidity was backed by nothing. So now the Roman Empire has these coins that are supposed to represent gold and silver, but are actually iron ore or metal. And as soon as that took place, the devaluation happened, Rome fell. So we're facing that stage. I don't know how long it goes. I don't know what that means because...
Do you think the dollar is going to crumble?
Yes and no. It's a tough conversation. It's a tough conversation because the United States is the military superpower of the world. They can bully their way to the top at any cost, and they're willing to do it. I mean, look at how they treated the entire situation with Gaddafi, right? Gaddafi wanted to introduce the gold dinar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, his own currency, right?
And basically he wanted to create a Pan-African currency that was backed by gold, which meant that now the African countries would not have to be dependent on central banks for a currency. The United States comes in and says, hey, in the name of democracy and freedom, like, let me come in. And a few years later, that currency is not in circulation anymore. So once you start playing with the monetary supply and you start playing the finance game, it's quite the mafia. It's people are willing to cut heads for that.
Do you think this was like a planned attack from other nations?
Warfare is taking place at all times. There is a saying by Sun Tzu in The Art of War. He says, the art of war is the art of deception. He doesn't say it's the art of fighting. He says it's the art of deception. So if you want to conquer a nation, it's the easiest way to conquer a nation is without any casualties, both financial and in human capital and resource, because it's very expensive to rebuild those things. So what happens? Now you're in a situation where it's easier to deceive people from within and collapse something from within than to destroy it because it requires too many resources. What do you think people are actually going to be out here dropping nuclear bombs, dude? Like, come on, get woke. Nobody's going to be dropping nuclear bombs.
You don't think there'll be another world war?
Yes, but world wars are now played on the financial level, like sanctions.
Yeah.
They're played on the bio warfare zone.
Yeah.
They're played on the digital warfare zone. So it's no longer guns and bullets that are the only way to control the narrative of the world. We stopped the entire world with the power of social media, dude.
Yeah.
Social media spread one very single message and the world shut down for 3 years. If you didn't have social media, how could you spread that message that quickly, that viral? You can't, right? So there's a lot of mechanisms nowadays that warfare is transmitted through, whether it's food, music, right? When you would go and siege a different country and you would go and attack another country, you would want to poison two things. What? The food supply and the water supply. You don't think your food is poisoned? You don't think your water is poisoned? Go do some research.
Yeah.
It is, right? And if you don't think that there's other countries out here like the rest of civilization, always and forever, trying to take over the land of another person, then you haven't picked up a history book, dude. There's always another person trying to take over.
You think someone else is poisoning the other people's waters?
Brother, I think people would do whatever the fuck they want in order to cover their own backs, and they're willing to compromise everybody else on the way. Whether it's the water supply, whether it's the food. Like you look at the Food and Drug Association, which is the FDA, and they approve Skittles, for example. And you look at Skittles, it has an ingredient called Red 40. Red 40 is a known carcinogen. And they still push it through the food system. Why? Because if you keep your people weak and stupid, then they cannot fight. Of course. Why would you want people intelligent?
You were talking about the money thing, right? Do you not think the bigger picture? I want to talk about crypto because crypto's come around. People are saying the new money is going to be crypto. I don't know. I have this crazy theory.
Tell me.
That the governments are actually trying to push crypto and they are self-collapsing. So people put their money into crypto and crypto becomes the savior of all currencies. And that way they can actually control all the money in the world.
I mean, yeah, if you look at...
I think crypto could be one of the biggest schemes there is.
I wouldn't doubt it. I think that there's a very plausible thesis for that. And I think that only being dependent on the digital world, when your access to the internet is dependent on literally the government turning on a switch or turning it off, then you might start questioning whether you want to live in the digital world as your absolute medium of transacting with people.
Because there's already countries that chip humans, I've heard.
Of course, dude.
I don't know. Is that a thing? I heard there's like a country that test ran it, like where they had chipped a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
And I feel like with crypto, if everything you have, like if your money is online and everything.
If your money's online, if your credit score is online, if your social media is connected to your identification, all they have to do is make sure, okay, did Mo just write a tweet here that goes against our narrative? Okay, perfect. Freeze his money. Okay, Mo's traveling too much. He traveled more than 6 times this year. Make sure his money's only programmed to be able to be spent in Dubai. Click. You don't think that's coming? That's coming very fucking soon. So I think you have a good thesis there, brother, that crypto is the Trojan horse of false freedom. This idea of cash, being bad.
Yeah.
Cash is the only way that you can maintain and move yourself in a way that is untraced. So the blockchain is traceable. The blockchain is transparent. There's nothing wrong with the blockchain, but if you're dependent on an internet connection in order to transact, the moment that internet connection is cut off, you're fucked, and you can't be always dependent on it. So I think you have a good reason.
But what do you do? What is freedom right now? If they're controlling everything, how do you escape? How do you escape the matrix?
Freedom is skill set, brother. Freedom is skill sets. It doesn't matter what currency, Mo. It doesn't matter what currency exists. You and I are going to be rich either way. Why? Because we're skilled. It doesn't matter what currency exists. Dude, if we get fucked, everybody else is getting fucked too, bro. Like, it's just the name of the game. But you've developed skills and I've developed skills that if stuff has to hit from the beginning and you have to start again, you, in 3-4 months, you're already worth 6 figures again.
Yeah. Do you think
you right now, what I mean? In 12 months, you're already a millionaire again. So the whole point is, how do you escape the bullshit is become so skilled that you can ride the waves of time without being encumbered by the changing of things, because you're so skilled that you can evolve with things and not be worried about your money. If your skill set is identified, right, and your identity is attached to the money, when the money's no longer there, then you're nothing.
Yeah.
If all you have is money, then the money, the moment it's worth nothing, means you're worth nothing. So you need to be able to be worth something beyond money. And the only thing that you can be worth is three things: based on skill, based on reputation, and based on the delivery of the skill. So how do people perceive you? How good are you at what you do?
Yeah.
And are you the best at what you do? If you can cover all those three bases, you're irreplaceable.
Right now, though, is money one of the things that you want to help you get to your next goals? Or you don't?
I mean, you live in a financial planet, right? So as you live in a financial planet, you are by definition bound to the rules of the game. So yeah, in this game, you need money.
How much money do you need?
I would say a comfortable place for people to be in order to live a good lifestyle that would be considered top tier. I would say $5,000 for rent. And I'm talking about Western countries. I'm not talking about Southeast Asia where you can live for $2,000 or I'm talking about the average. I would say $5,000 for living expenses, $3,000 for personal expenses, $2,000 miscellaneous, $5,000 in savings or in investments. If you make $220,000 a year as a baseline goal, that's a good place to say, I have enough money to begin focusing on developing myself and not have to worry about the next bill and not have to worry about, can I actually take my girl on a dinner date that's nice? Or can I book a little vacation retreat? I think 220,000, 250,000 is a good baseline whereby it's not so much money that the money begins to become a business. You don't want to get to the point, at least me, I'm at the point where I have a family office that managing my money is like a job.
Yeah.
In and of itself. I don't want to get so big that people treat me, Luke Belmar, as I need to run Luke Belmar's life. Yeah. There's a sweet medium in between having a lot and not having anything. And that sweet medium is where you have enough to live extremely well, to do whatever you want, but not so much that your mindset is always like, how do I protect this? What do I do with this money? Yeah. How do I move this? Dude, you don't see people with tens of millions of dollars in a bank account. That doesn't exist. That's not real. People have treasury bonds. People buy back debt. People buy stock. People buy equity in companies. This idea of sitting in a bank account with 30, 40, $50 million cash is ludicrous.
But how much money is it? Like, how much money do you want to have? Are you aiming for like...
My goal is by the age of 35 is 250 million liquid cash. I don't evaluate my assets. I don't calculate.
Do you want to be a
worth.
billionaire?
Yes and no. I mean, billionaire is such a whatever terminology.
You don't care.
I mean, I think if you're a billionaire, you don't really care if you're a billionaire. I mean, I honestly don't think you get to the point where you look at all your assets and you're like, today I'm a billionaire. I think it's such a fluctuating
you don't know what the value
flow
is.
At that point. You don't even care. I can't even give you an estimate of what I'm worth today. Like truly, today I'm worth this. Tomorrow the market pumps 10%. I'm worth that. Tomorrow the market dumps 20%. I'm worth something. I don't care. I just know what is my purchasing power. Like how much is my life is taken care of.
Have you ever been robbed for money?
No.
Scammed?
Oh, I've been scammed. Yeah. But scammed is different than robbed. Scam is when you fall for something as opposed to somebody like
and when did that happen? I just want to know.
I've been scammed multiple times, bro. I've probably lost $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 in scams with crypto.
Oh, you bought into crypto scams?
Yeah, bought into crypto scams. I mean, I would call FTX a scam, right? I would call Celsius a scam. Yeah. I lost money on those.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
On a personal level, has anyone ever taken money from you?
No, thankfully, no.